I don't always like see the big picture unless I understand every detail.
Okay.
I need to like read 10 different things, or people talking about the same thing, but talking about it in 10 different ways for my brain to go, oh, yeah. But now I understand it on such a deep level that I can now help other people learn it.
That is fascinating.
Yeah,
that is so cool. Welcome to the Attention Different podcast. Today we are talking burnout with Eric Tivers, founder of ADHD Rewired, one of the top ADHD podcasts with over 500 episodes. But more than that, Eric is also a near and dear friend and collaborator of Aaron's and mine. We have worked with Eric and known Eric for many years, and we are thrilled to have him today on the show. Eric's going to tell you about how he went from working 90 hours a week chasing the productivity dream to losing $100,000 and nearly needing to go on disability. He's going to share the brutal signs of burnout that ADHDers miss, like losing interest in everything except the immediate dopamine hits. We're going to cover his shift from supercharged productivity to sustainable energy. We're going to cover team meetings that drain your soul and why he fired a $40,000 coach. Do not miss this one. Burnout is one of those topics for ADHDers that you just can't learn enough about. And hey, remember, breathe. You've got this. It's good to see you, brother. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Hanging in, running a company with this guy.
Yeah, how's that going? I was bummed that I couldn't make it to your thing on at the CHAD conference. I know. Forgot what I had. I had a conflict because I actually wanted to come, but I had a conflict I couldn't. Hard to go.
I think it was a talent show.
Oh
yeah, it's the talent show, almost certainly.
What'd you do at the talent show?
Yeah.
I probably just made something up on piano. That's what I do.
Just improvise. Improv.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
Aaron, I forget. Have you tinkered around on an instrument before? I feel like you have.
Me? Yeah. Well, a little bit. I mean, guitar. Yeah. I'm not.
Start a band.
That's what I'm getting at.
Steven can play drums. Steven can play drums. Yeah.
Hey, don't forget, and the mouth harp by force. By force of moving here, because there already was a drummer for the Dave Davis cover band. So I was instructed I'd be playing the harmonica.
I can do a pretty mean mouth bugle. I mean, that's something.
Oh, like a. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now you go. Nice. So, I wanted to say first and foremost, welcome to Attention Different, the podcast. We're so happy to have you. Today, I am thrilled. Aaron is thrilled to be joined by Eric Tivers, licensed clinical social worker turned coach, founder, and CEO of ADHD Rewired. If you are not already familiar with his work, Eric is the host of one of the most popular ADHD podcasts on Apple Podcasts with over 500 episodes produced since 2014. Eric holds a master's degree in social work from the University of Illinois at Chicago. He is also the creator of intensive online coaching and accountability groups for adults with ADHD. We know a thing or two about that. An innovative program honored at the 2019 International Conference on ADHD. Beyond his professional accolades, Eric is a proud dad to a neurodivergent 12-year-old, a self-taught musician, a pickleball enthusiast, and most recently obsessed with motorcycles. We're excited to have him here today. Most of all, we're excited to say, welcome, brother Eric. It's good to see you again.
Thank you. It must have been a while since we first tried to make this happen, because now my son's 13.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he was a little older. Yeah.
As reading 12, I was like, there's no way he's still tough.
And I was also recognized in the last year's conference, the innovative program series for the coaching group. So, but yeah, that sounded great. Okay. I want to meet this guy.
He sounds like an impressive person. Wait, so actually, but this is a good segue. Give us some of those course corrections as bio corrections that'll help us get to know you even better.
Yeah. So my son's 13. He's an 8th grader, which means he's going into high school next year, which is like, it still doesn't make sense to my brain. I've been doing this online work for a little more than 10 years. And, I was definitely in that, like the growth, sort of hustle culture, kind of toxic crap for a long while, really. And then I just kept ignoring burnout, and, things change, and I've been very intentionally slowing down.
Yeah. Let's dig in there a little bit, because when we first met you, right? I don't know if it was 2015 or 2016. It was one of those conferences, and you were the guy. You were the one that was like productivity hacks and apps and widgets and things, and just a technology focused guru here. And
it's all bull crap. I'm just kidding.
It's crap now. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like tell us about that evolution. Where were you at that time? And then kind of let's get into what your mindset is today. So like let's back up there, and like what brought you into like trying out all that stuff and like being a big proponent of that?
Yeah.
So I think part of it was, when I started my own clinical practice, really like feeling like I've kind of figured out the secret sauce to like time management with ADHD, and then online stuff started just a little bit after Siri came on board on the iPhone, and like, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can tell it to remind me something and it will do that. Like all my problems are solved now.
Yeah.
But then I was changed. Right. But then like, I had like 150 items on my reminders app. So I was like, oh, this app isn't working for me. I need to find a different app.
Yeah. I search for the best app, right? That's what happened.
Rinse and repeat to every single productivity app on like the App Store. And I don't even know how much money I've spent on different like tools that worked for a little bit. Right. Yeah. So part of why I started my coaching program was I needed something like that. And there was nothing out there like that. Right. Like I remember I was seeing a therapist at the time, and we were working on some ADHD stuff. And I would get homework from the therapist, and I would do the homework by arriving at my appointment about 20 minutes early, just so I had enough time to do the homework. Right. Like, and I was just like, what am I doing? Like I know the value of this homework, but a week is so far away. Like, I wish I could just have someone where I can just, check in with and have those sort of touch points. Yeah. Exactly. So as I'm recording a solo podcast episode, this is like way in the beginning, I kind of just had this idea like on the fly, and then just kept it in, and then spent the next like 2 months trying to figure out, okay, what Pandora's box did I just open, and how do I actually do this? And I did, and so that from the first group, which was in 2014 to now, looks very, very different from what it was when I first started. But I think that part of it was like, since learning I had ADHD, which was in college after I almost failed out, I was really like, I wanted to figure out how to plan, how to be productive. And, my undergrad, my sort of go-to strategies were Adderall and Adderall. Like, I mean, like, and working insane number of hours, right?
Right.
And,
pushing through.
Which really cycles back to Adderall.
Pushing through with more Adderall. Okay.
Right. And I was probably taking more than I was prescribed, just to pull all-nighters, and like it was working. And I went from being a very average student to getting like mostly A's and an occasional B, which I had never done in my life before. And that felt it was almost too good. Right. And so the sort of the bar that I set for myself, like I just kept raising it, and then with the raising of the bar also came the raising of the anxiety. And then that's where my perfectionism was born. And then come grad school, I was like, okay, I can do this. So I did great in grad school. I got a 4.0. I slept 2 hours a night.
Wow.
It's interesting. I kind of reflect back on that now. I'm like, man, I wish I did worse.
Right. Let it go a bit. Does that translate to letting go lightly?
Exactly.
Give yourself more time.
So, I still remember these feelings of like growing up and feeling like, I'd be handed the planner and say, just put it in your planner, and like being almost too embarrassed to be able to say, but I don't know how this thing works. Like, am I supposed to put this thing in on the day you gave it to me, or on the day it's due, or like, I don't know how to use this thing, and I'm supposed to keep track of this thing and use it all the time. Like, so none of this made sense to me. Or I'd add an item to my to-do list, and I'd be looking at my to-do list. I'm like, I have no idea what half of these things even mean. Or I wrote them, but I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing with this. Right. Yeah. And so I realized if I'm going to have any kind of success in life, I have to figure this stuff out. I realized this is going to be the thing that prevents me from, living the life that I want to live. So something that have recently learned through my own therapist I've been exploring also possibly being autistic. When I'm interested in learning something, I don't just casually learn something about that topic. I will go and listen to like every single audiobook that Audible has on a topic. My therapist's like, yeah, that's I don't think that's just ADHD.
Yes, but it is also. I think it's like ADHD as well in some degree, right? It's just like what's the matter of like intensity surrounding that?
Yes.
Because ADHDers hyperfixate and can become really excitable about certain topics and have intense hyperfocus for a good amount of time. I feel like with autism, it's a little bit more of like you become, or maybe a lot more, right? Of like you become very fixated about an obsessive thing, like topic or subtopic.
It's that, but I think the other piece is something that I've learned about myself is I don't always like see the big picture unless I understand every detail.
Okay.
And so I need to read 10 different things, or people talking about the same thing, but talking about it in 10 different ways for my brain to go, oh, yeah. And now I understand it on such a deep level that I can now help other people learn it.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Wait, yeah, because that's very different than my brain. Like my brain is, I understand the bigger picture first, and I'm very conceptual. So I can kind of like do that. But then diving down into the details is where I start to fumble sometimes I'm more of a ideological, conceptual mapper in my brain, like that big picture.
And it depends on what it is. If I'm coming up with something organically, like I can do big picture, like I can make connections, all this. But if there's something that like my brain doesn't kind of naturally do easily, right? Then it's like, I remember being in my undergrad and like just like struggling so like badly just to like get a passing grade in my like algebra class.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the library and checking out like 10 different like algebra books so I can see how the same concept was being introduced in like a multitude of different ways in order for my brain to understand it.
I'm related. This is if selfishly, but fascinating for two competing reasons. One, the amount that I relate to it, like the amount and ferocity that I relate to, but two, the amount that I don't, like just as much. Like there are some elements of your story that utterly line up with undergrad and grad, right? Yeah. Undergrad for the discovery of the process of learning. And once I know that, I'm going to put it pedal to the metal in grad school with no guardrails and add on too many things. On the flip side of the coin, that description of I'm struggling with algebra and my instinct is to go to the library and to take out 10 different authors of the same algebra concept and then like learn all of their versions of that algebraic concept. And then all of a sudden, a light bulb goes off because you've done the granular data mining up to that point. When the light bulb goes off on the bigger, broader concept, you've also supplemented it with like everybody's opinion on it.
I remember even being young and always being like thinking school was done backwards, like in the sense that, we grow up and we're learning what? We're learning information, right? Then we get into college and even like graduate programs, we learn the how. And then like PhD level stuff, you learn the why. I want to start with the why. Because if I don't have a deep understanding for the why, like the how and the what is hard to put into context for myself.
Hey, attention different fam, we've got an e-course for you. It's called Thriving with Adult ADHD. If you've ever felt stuck starting tasks, overwhelmed by managing your energy, or unsure how to build routines that actually work, this course is for you. Again, that's Thriving with Adult ADHD. Inside, you'll learn practical strategies to help you focus, strengthen your relationships, and feel more in control of your day-to-day life. With over 2 hours of video lessons and an 80-page workbook, you'll walk away with tools you can use right away to not just survive, but thrive with adult ADHD. Head to attentiondifferent.com now to get started.
Okay, let's translate this a little bit. How did this come to pass when you were building your coaching group? Because I want to segue this into the eventual stuff of how you burned out, right? Okay. But let's say, okay, so the impetus for building it was, I want this resource. I need some accountability for myself.
Right.
Yes.
And then you like went into it just full steam ahead. Take us there.
Yeah. So I think, growing up feeling like I was just kind of a screwball and like, it's like, oh, I can get okay grades if I like, I'll pull it all nighter or two and I'll get caught up. I'll get all the work in. It'll stress me out, but I'll do it. And then it's like, I get caught up and then I kind of go back to like coasting and then I'm like, oh crap again. And it was like, that was my pattern. And it was right around the time that I started ADHD Rewired that I also started diving into Brené Brown's work. And, it was, it's so funny because like, I think that I had like overcome certain things and it made so much progress. And then I'm like, oh no, I still had so much more progress to make in this particular area. And it was when she talked about sort of letting go of productivity as a measure of our self-worth, like that to me was like the punch in the gut that like made me go, whoa, like, cause even, and I think it was maybe around the time, Steve, when you were, when you had joined our group,
I wasn't going to mention, but I was one of Eric's earliest students. Toss. I think it was cohort 2, the second cohort.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So it was actually right around that time.
Oh,
and
cool.
I remember like a lot of my marketing was all about like supercharging productivity, all that. And then I was just like, oh, there's more. It's not just about like, yeah, it's important, but like there's more to life than that. And then I think in some ways I spent the next, 9 years kind of trying to make that shift from, supercharged productivity to how do I end my life with having no regrets?
Wow.
Right.
Dang.
And
it's more of an existential question there.
Because part of it was like I was working insane hours, right? Like I wasn't happy in my relationships. I'm now divorced. And I was just, what I was finding is, okay, like I'm finding that sense of self-worth through my business. Like I kept filling groups and I kept expanding. I kept working. And it was just like, okay, great. And then COVID was sort of this like incubator for what eventually sort of led to my burnout. Demand just kind of kept growing for groups. I kept, raising my prices and to try to sort of manage that demand. So at one point I had 2 other coaches running my program. We were doing 5 groups right, at a time. Like, so we were doing like, what is that? 20 groups a year, right? We had a lot of people coming in, right? And I had actually,
and each group had a cohort of what, like
12,
20?
Yeah,
12?
It's 12, yeah.
12, okay.
12 times 5 times 10 weeks, right? Back then,
yeah.
It was 10 weeks.
And I've changed it now to 8 weeks, which is this is the second season I'm doing that, and then this season I'm actually experimenting, seeing how it works with 16 people. So we're 2 weeks into that right now. So I had a really great coach basically quit on me because I was not providing her what she needed, and she gave me some really like good hard feedback, but I took that feedback and I went and I hired a coach that was way too expensive because I was like, I don't want this to happen again. Like this, I got to learn the skills I need to be a better, leader, manager, all that kind of stuff. And because I was so like, I felt that I owe it to my community to make sure I can figure this stuff out. So this doesn't happen again.
You hired like a leadership development coach or something for yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Thank you for the clarification. So not a replacement coach for
right.
Someone for yourself.
Right. And, I kind of knew from the kind of beginning of it that like, I'm not sure if this is the right program for me because they were basically all about like scaling and finding, creating efficiencies in your business, which is great. But I'm like, I'm actually kind of okay with that. I got some pretty good systems.
Sounds like more productivity. It sounds like more.
Right.
More.
You're like, I already have too much on my plate. I don't need to scale up. I need to scale.
Right. And so I had these 3 Google like worksheets, and each of these worksheets had like 15 different pages on it. It was just it was not ADHD friendly. And I stuck with it for 8 months and $40,000 later. And I ended up like dropping the program because I was like, this is not working for me. Right. This is because I knew what I needed and what they were providing for me wasn't it. and I forgot where I was going.
No, that brings us to a place in time, and energy and philosophy. So around that,
okay, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so they kept pushing me to really increase my prices a lot, and I kind of pushed back for a while, and they're like, this, like, it's clear the market's paying for this. So I'm like, okay. So I went from, like, basically from my groups, went from like $2,000 to $3,000, and I was like, I felt kind of uncomfortable with it. But like during COVID, people were still paying for it, because people weren't paying for anything else because we were all stuck at home, right?
All those stimulus checks and stuff. Okay.
Right. And so at the time we had that, and we had 2 other coaches, and we had 5 groups, and we were having a wait list. And that the season, right after basically, the world opened back up.
Right.
And I was getting ready for the next sort of cycle of registration. It was crickets. And I was like, is my email list broken? What's going on here? Like,
oh crap. Oh, shit.
And so I went from 5 groups to 4 to 3 to 2. Now I'm at 1. And I'm just doing what I had to in April. I basically had to let my entire team go because I kept my team on for doing 5 groups at a certain, at the higher rate. I liked my team, and I didn't really I didn't want to let anyone go. And I wasn't watching the finances as closely as I really should have been. And I lost $100,000 in a year. Because I wasn't paying attention to my finances.
With like payroll and people still in the transition.
Yes.
Not having clear eyes during how many months? Like how long was that journey from?
Well, I think it was like spring of 22 to last year, I think.
Okay, that's
so I've been going solo here since April of last year.
Okay.
And it was definitely I know the term like rock bottom kind of gets thrown around, but like it did kind of feel like that. Like I was like, I was so mindful of my finances. I kept putting money aside. Thank God that I did. Because all that went away. But I just barely stayed afloat, right? As I'm trying to figure out, okay, like I can't just keep working harder to increase the bottom line. And so I did a couple, actually over the summer, I was given a gift of, so this past summer we had three groups going. Well, we tried to have 3 groups going, and 2 of the groups had 8 people in them each. That's, we'll run at 8. And I had 2 people in mine, and that 2 people does not make a group. So I basically was able to get those 2 people into the other sections, and I took the summer off. And like, it's something I knew I needed to do, but I'm like, well, I guess sometimes the best things in my life that have happened, I've been forced into that space, right? Like I started my business when I got laid off and just signed a mortgage on my house like that same week. So it's like, usually when I'm backed into a corner, my brain just kind of fires on all cylinders. And I was kind of backed into a corner, but I was also burnt out.
So when you were talking about that, I was just noticing there's a lot of emotion that's still raw, that's still there. What was that like, experiencing that, coming down from this pinnacle? You had all these groups and just it all crashing at once. I
was terrified. That feeling of thinking you've got stuff figured out, and then all of a sudden that's figured out is no longer working at all. I did most of my marketing was through my podcast, and I mean, you see the ADHD podcasting space. There's a couple ADHD podcasts out there, a few hundred, right? And like when I started, there was like me and I think 6 other podcasts, and I went almost 10 years not missing a week. And then come April, when I had to the whole team go. I'm like, I started slowing it down, and then I'm like, I'm gonna just get one out when I get it out, and I'm not like gonna stress over it. And it's been this sort of gradual doing less. And, so I think for the last season, I had like put out just a couple episodes, and it was usually around registration time. And, I'm like, well, I filled the group. Like maybe I don't need to be sending out doing an episode every single week. I'm like, if people want to listen, like I am sure there's plenty of episodes that new listeners have not listened to, because I have like 540 540 something right now.
545, something like that. Yeah.
So I think that like it's in one hand, it's been sort of freeing. It's also been because I've been just actually in the last couple of weeks, really like coming up with some new ideas of what I want to do with the podcast. And I think sometimes when you're so close to it and you don't have distance from it, it's hard to like make those creative shifts.
Yeah.
When you're just in the slog of, okay, create, do productivity, building, scaling phase of things. And now like, it sounds like your mindset has shifted more in terms of your own energy, like your own energy management.
You know, every year when I do my yearly planning, I always identify a theme for the year. And this year it's sustainable energy. Right. It's like I need to do things that are sustaining my energy. So being super mindful of what fills me up and do more of that and be extremely mindful and protective of my energy for the things that drain me. And one of the things I have found that drain me, this is sort of connecting back to the exploring autism, is team meetings. And if you're running a business that has, people that you need to meet with, and that's the thing that's draining you more than anything.
Yeah, I love
right. Because it's like I can do group all day long because I know the agenda and I know the program and I know how to like facilitate group. Facilitating group and running team meetings are completely different.
How?
I think the biggest thing is decision making. So having to have a collaborative process and then at that time also having to be making decisions or having to rein people in, sometimes rein myself in. Right. It's like that, and then doing all ADHDers who we see the timer on the screen, but then we just keep going. And then I get to we actually end the call, and then I'm like, I am so drained. Why did this meeting go so long?
Right.
Yes. So and I started looking into like all these different ways of doing meetings. I'm like, I look through my Audible list on how many books I've listened to about like running team meetings and leadership and all of this. And I'm like, for the amount of books that I've read, you'd think I'd be better at what I'm actually doing at this. And I'm starting to realize it's so interesting. I think for me, while I've always identified with certain autistic traits, I never thought that could be autistic. I was like, I'm good at reading people. I'm good at reading like other people, but what I'm not good at reading is how people are reading me. And getting that, and that's something I've just kind of recently have realized. There's this sort of term that I don't know if I've heard it somewhere or something I came up with, but what I had been sort of thinking of myself in some of these relationships that I had that were that kind of soured was like, was I just kind of an accidental asshole? Like, because I really I didn't think that I was doing like anything that was but. I'm someone who always seeks feedback, and that's like I had gotten feedback one time a couple times. It seems they only reach out to people when I want something, and I was like, oh yeah, I could see how that feels that way. And it's like, yeah, when reaching out to someone feels like a chore to me. Like I wish it wasn't like that.
And you mean period? Like for you, all reaching out is a chore.
Often, yeah,
it takes a lot of emotional energy to do that.
Yeah, and it's like it is kind of funny because I'm very introverted. Like I need a lot of solo time to recharge. But it's just funny as someone who also likes finds a lot of fulfillment in helping people. It's how much I actually like helping people. It's sort of strange how they don't like people. I don't know.
That does feel. That is a.
I think that's an important point. Like
it is.
You seem like you almost connected your identity to the work through the work.
Oh, so much so, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I feel I've been disconnecting that identity.
You're separating. You're separating that. Who am I separate from this? What's my value?
Yeah. And I even have been catching myself in old patterns. Like my son has a thing in a couple of weeks where he'll perform at his elementary school, and he always wants to go back to. He's been talk because he still wants to go back to elementary school, and so my ex asked me if I can help with transportation with that because it's kind of in the middle of the morning, and my immediate response was no, I have family meetings during that time, and I was like, wait a minute. My son is way more important than this standing meeting, right? So I'm like, I have a couple of weeks. I can move something. Like
Yeah.
you know, and because I used to think, oh, I have to always be there, like no matter what,
Right.
no matter what, no matter what. It's like,
Wow.
but do I?
Yeah. Was that your the perfectionism and the pressure you were putting on yourself that was leading you to say, like, I can't let anyone down here. I have to do these things in the business front.
Yeah,
Totally.
Just right.
Is that it?
yeah. I think the expectations that I have had for myself, you know, because I'm definitely someone who like I strive for excellence, but that line between excellence and just goddamn obsessed, like where it's not healthy, like that's a slippery slope that I have tripped over for years. And I feel like now I'm just getting to this point where, you know, even in my groups where I'm the shift talking about all the product, like we still do all the productivity stuff, but I embed in all of those conversations now is like, watch your energy. You know, it's like, and I feel this very strongly. If I were to try to continue just ignoring the burnout and do what I had been doing, I would have maybe had another year of work and then I probably would have had to go on disability. Like that's how bad it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in some ways it was kind of like lucky, or not necessarily lucky, but it happened the way it needed to happen at that time, like the COVID and then the whole drop.
And there were so many different like sort of things that sort of happened over the last like several years that were kind of like sort of like pins in this process. From I think it was 2 years ago at the CHAD conference, my team had a little bit of an intervention with me. There was a session all on burnout, and they made sure that I was there.
Really?
Oh, they signed you up.
They basically like grabbed like one on each arm and walked me into the session to make sure I was in it.
Dang, they called you
That's
out.
compassion. Well, that's compassion.
It was done in such a loving, caring way. With like,
yeah. That's I have a teacher who spits battery acid, but he knows compassion, and that's compassion, right? It doesn't always come in a hug, although it does come gripped tightly as they drag you into the freaking lecture.
And I remember like sitting in this whole thing, and I was just like, it's like. You know, when something goes from the back of your mind that you know to like the front of your mind because it's now hitting you in the face. So it was there. And then so at that point, I'm like, and my team says, well, what if you took like a week off during one of your groups and had one of your other coaches cover for you? And I was like, wild. Wait, can I do that? So I did that, and I ended up going to Fish in Mexico, the PH, the band.
Yeah. Oh, you're a jam band fan. Good for you.
Yeah, I've seen him twice in Mexico. I've seen him 51 times.
Oh my God, in heaven! And we won't go. Aaron, is this your first time hanging out with a fish head? It's like when the fish head tells me that it was my second time in Mexico. I'm like, I know.
There's a lot of fish heads in Colorado.
Right. Deadheads and fish.
Boulder. Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's okay.
So there's that, and then maybe it was about a year or so ago. I was interviewing someone for my podcast, and they were talking about their experience with burnout, and they were actually on Social Security disability income because they had ignored their burnout for 13 years.
Dang.
And I remember getting off that interview, and like I felt like I'm looking at my future if I don't do something.
Yes.
You know, and so like for the next, I don't know, 6-8 months, I just kept thinking about that.
What are so what are the signs of burnout? Like what are the things that you were listening to this lecture, you're there, what was resonating for you? What are some of these signs of burnout that like maybe you were ignoring that you didn't see? Because I think this is important for listeners because there's probably a lot of people out here that are burnt out with their jobs or with other things going on in their life.
I think maybe in some ways it could be helpful to think about it think about like an inattentive ADHD or extreme mode every day.
Okay.
Like just not giving shits about anything. Like,
yeah.
Like even the stuff that you want to do, it's not even that you can't get yourself to do it. You just don't even care if you do it. Like, right. And it's, and I felt like the only thing that I was like doing with some enjoyment was showing up for my groups. Right. Like I did enjoy that because there was also this immediate feedback of like, oh, this is helping people. And that's super rewarding. But everything else around it, like the marketing, all the emails I got to send, all that, I was just like, I don't want to do it.
So a loss of enjoyment in things. And then also, I think kind of like wrapped in that, a disconnection, like almost a dissociation or disconnection from the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And really struggling to come up with like new ideas and just kind of going through the motions.
Also a plummet in creativity.
Yeah.
Creativity.
And I was cranky. Like,
and then crankiness. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was just like, it's like, I have to do this. And it was just, and everything felt heavy. Like there was this heaviness to it. And like, even like my thoughts just felt more, it kind of felt like unmedicated ADHD in some ways, like foggy and very not clear. And so it's
Brain
sort of
fog,
like depression, but it's different.
Yeah. And I think a lot of ADHDers, with the way that some of us experience depression, can look differently, especially because I think we try to push through some of that energy, some of that grit, determination, perseverance, some of the positive qualities we have.
Right.
We don't always admit to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a bad place.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, so starting last May, so it's been about a year and a half, I started doing EMDR therapy. I was diagnosed with complex PTSD. Thanks, Mom. And for the first like 6 months, and this was also while I was in burnout, but I also realized that some of the things I knew were getting in my way were connected to the complex PTSD. Like I found myself that I would kind of just numb out like during team meetings when there was conflict, and like when I'm like, oh, this is how I felt growing up, like when there was conflict, and I was like, and my brain would just kind of go quiet, but not the good quiet, right?
Totally.
Like the quiet where like, there's thoughts in there, but they're locked and you can't have access to them right now.
Like
clinically, we call that dissociation.
Yeah,
right?
Dissociation. Yeah, but like you were like frozen, like you couldn't act.
in the fight, flight, freeze.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing, my partner, she was going through a big mental health challenge, and I was like apathetic to it, and like which is why she dumped my ass, rightfully so. No, truly, like we went to Mexico together, and she had this a challenge, mental health challenge, and I was just like inconvenienced by it. And even I say it now, I'm like, what an asshole! Like, and what we've now realized, we've done a lot of work together, is I have the ability, but at the time I did not have the capacity to hold that space, to hold that support, because I was doing a lot of my own healing and needing to do a lot of my own healing in order to be able to hold that space.
That's really important here. I feel like I want to.
It's really powerful.
Yeah, I like that is an area that I feel like, particularly anxiety, ADHD, autism, ADHD and Tourette's. I mean, like there's a group of co-occurring conditions in here where I feel like we are speaking directly to like the shame wielders, you know what I mean? Like the shame battlers, those of us who battle with shame all the time, like I am able, but I did not have the capacity. I feel like I've spent a large portion of my adult life getting into emotional dysregulation or disruption with a business partner, a friend, a lover, a family member, like in this exact category, just on repeat of like, no, I can do the thing, but I can't right now. And that embarrassment and shame that comes with all of that.
Yeah, and I think it was this past summer, I was on fish tour basically. So Midwest fish tour. It always comes back to fish. And so I went to 3 nights in Wisconsin with my partner at the time. It was great. Then I went the next weekend to Indiana. And I went solo, and I went on my motorcycle, and it was when I was on my way back to Chicago, I was taking all like the back country roads, that it was this first moment where I'm like, I think I'm feeling a little bit of the fog being lifted from the burnout, like where it was just like, oh, I need way more of this, like this, where I have, prolonged periods where I don't need to respond to anybody. Like I don't need to check in with anybody. I can do exactly what I want, when I want, how I want. And like, cause for me, that recharges me. And it's like, I've always known that, but I don't think I really appreciated how much actually more of that I actually need for it to really sort of balance my energy out.
More of what, to be specific?
A long time, like just doing my own thing. Like even though I'm like, at a fish show and there's, I don't know, 20,000 people, right? Like, but I can walk around and I don't have to engage with people. I can talk to people.
No one's pulling at you saying, I need this from you. Make a decision.
I can talk to people and decide, no, this is, and I can turn around and just walk away and I'm not going to see them ever again. And it doesn't matter. Right. Like, so there was something that I realized that was so freeing about that. And so I have been right now really working on scheduling throughout the year, solo trips, just to have, a couple days just to myself.
For our listeners, it sounds like you're still coming out the tail end of this burnout. And what would you advise people to be more aware of when they're trying to look at their energy and how they might be burning out in their lives? What would you tell them are some of those signs or ways that they can better take care of their energy, notice when their energy is being pulled at from different things, and how to better take care of that energy management piece?
It's a hard question to answer because for me, a lot of this solution involves a lot of privilege, right? Like I was able to take basically a summer off of doing coaching, right? Like most people can't take months off of work, right? That being said, if you've been feeling burnt out, if you're not going to do anything different, it's not going to get better and it will compound. Like it absolutely will compound. And, one of the things I think is really important to understand too, that we don't just get like unburnt out by taking a vacation. Like,
right.
It's about changing how we do life, right? And learning how to let go. And it is inconvenient as hell, right? Because it's like the time it takes to kind of come out of it, it's way longer than you want it to be. So for me, I feel like it's in the rearview mirror, but it's just one car behind me, right? It's like I can still see it real clearly, even though I'm kind of feeling like I'm out of it. So it's like if I don't be careful, that's going to catch up to me again, right? Which in some ways is helpful because it sort of like makes me continue to prioritize my energy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for other people, I don't know, just ask for help. Like start looking at what you can say no to, start like looking at what are the things that you are tolerating that kind of piss you off every time you tolerate it, right? Because like that's going to build to burnout and that's going to compound that burnout.
To record kind of let's say like a list, an inventory, take an inventory of like, what are all of those things that just are pulling at my energy and are annoying me and that I'm dreading doing?
Yes. If you notice you're dreading something, that is definitely a good indicator of something to see what you can do to get that off your plate, right? Even if it's just for a while. And the other thing is too, I think that we know that mental health related issues are, I think, especially like post-COVID, like we're in an epidemic of mental health issues right now. The world's gone mad, right? Yeah. And
something like that.
Yeah. But I also think that burnout, especially with people, like knowledge workers who, spent a lot of time working from home and maybe still be working from home, because we know that people who work from home end up like having even worse separation and work way more than they would normally if they were just working in a traditional sort of work environment, right? So you have less and less separation, and the expectations that so many employers have is that you're always available, which is so toxic. It is so toxic to have that kind of expectation, right? So I always say changing course, especially when the course is big, is hard. But knowing that you need to change course and not because you're afraid of the change, you're going to crash into an iceberg. I think I just mixed 3 metaphors there, but we're going to go with it.
All of them played. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, it's hard. It's because I'm definitely someone who was very much into the, small business, entrepreneurship stuff. I go for a while, I wanted to be a millionaire. And now I think about that now, I'm like, why? Like, I mean, I like having money because then that means I can hire people to do the things I don't want to do, which is the best ADHD strategy anybody could ask for, right? Like, you don't want to do your laundry? Cool. You can pay someone to do that. You don't want to, clean your house? Cool. You can pay someone to do that. You not even want to. It's hard to do a lot of these things, right? So yeah, money helps make the burden of all those executive function things easier, right? But like, how much more do I need? You know what I mean? Like, I want to have enough to take care of myself, take care of my family, have some recreational funds, make sure I'm taking care of retirement, right? But like, I don't need endless wealth. It's like, cause I'm not, if I have to work so hard that I'm not enjoying it, that is not worth it, no matter how much is in my bank account.
Yeah, that's so right there. Yeah, we don't think about that. People have these goals, and it's like, well, ask yourself, like, if I got there, like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to work harder, work more hours, do all this stuff. And it's like, okay, well, if you got there, is that this destination? Are you really going to be happy? Is that what you want? Because a lot of times we think that that's going to bring some kind of happiness. And yes, you're right. It brings freedom of like, we can spend more on, take more vacations or buy more things we want because you access to things, access to people and access to materials. But it also is a burden. It's a huge burden because it becomes, now I have to manage this empire I built.
Yep. I mean, it's funny you use that word because I remember when I very first started out, I created this an analog mind map in a notebook. And I sort of tongue in cheek sort of put as the title, How to Build My ADHD Empire.
Yeah. I think everybody here, if you haven't written down the word empire or monolith or like the hub or like the center, then are you man? Are you human?
and for me, my why is still what it's always been. And, that feeling of being misunderstood is one of the most just lonely, just awful feelings there is. And I grew up, most of my life feeling misunderstood, and we don't have to feel that way. And so I feel that by doing things that bring community together, where people can sort of see and hear each other and hear each other's stories and recognize themselves in those stories, right? That's just so much to sort of alleviate so much of the shame that comes with being neurodivergent and all the things that, that are connected to that.
That's your why.
Yeah. I'm seeing like 9 light bulbs go off above Steven's head right now. Want to share?
It's my brain's classic, at least ADHD, attempt to connect dots and simultaneously compare them to other dots and maps, right? So it's never just connecting dots. It's connecting dots into what you're saying for you within the framework of Eric Tivers and his journey, but also the compare contrast, my constellation, Aaron's constellation, the constellation of attention different, the constellation of other folks going through burnout and writing about burnout and speaking on burnout. One thought that came to mind that was roaring and ever present for a while was just my father, my own parent, and thinking about somebody who would probably answer Aaron's question confidently with money fucking rocks. I'll just be a little blue for a second, but money rocks, right? Like money it might not be able to buy you happiness, but it can buy you a boat, which is a line from a country song. So I know that there is a response to that, but we all know, and we tend to surround ourselves with mentors and friends who know that there's a fallacy there, that there's a fraudulent ideal there, that actually there's a vapidness, there's an emptiness to it. And that really what I watched that guy do was stuff he dreaded for 30 or 40 years, like really dreaded, really hated doing, and would talk about it like that. There was no other way he would talk about it. He wasn't like, boy, howdy, do I love to go to work today? It wasn't like, I'm off to meet favorite thing, kids, my job. Like that wasn't Dad's response. It was hatred and avarice towards that thing for decades, and then bragging about it. So I was thinking about, that was a light bulb that was going off, was even for those who answer arrogantly, confidently Aaron's question, will you be happy? Of course I will. I'll have a house, I'll have a mansion, I'll have this, I'll have whatever. We've learned something. I think thankfully we're all blessed to have learned something deep and profound earlier, that actually it's going to kill you. It's going to kill some part of your soul to get there. Yeah. So that's those are the light bulb.
I remember when I was watching, it was some video, and they said something about, I think they were paraphrasing something that Arnold Schwarzenegger said. And he's like, they say that money gets you happiness. Last year I had $49 million in the bank, and this year I have $50 million. And I'm no happier than I was last year.
Right.
I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. Yeah, an accurate. Yeah. Anyway.
One reflection I have on this conversation is that money is a resource and it's replenishable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I think about it, and the lessons I've learned in my life have pointed me to the fact that our time, our energy, that resource isn't. That's finite. We aren't promised another day, right? We're lucky if we all think we're going to live long, healthy lives, but we're not promised that.
That's right.
And I had this reality come slap me in my face a couple years ago when my father was diagnosed with colon cancer. And he was on the cusp of his retirement, right? He was actually going on a dream trip on a cruise. And they had to kick him off the cruise because he was having symptoms. And he had to take 6 flights back to the U.S., an emergency airlift, basically back to the hospital to get an operation. And I saw that dream and that stuff that he had worked hard for 30 years come crashing down. His whole goal was, I'm going to retire, I'm going to travel, I'm going to have all this stuff. What he didn't think about, right? How much energy, what is this sacrifice I'm doing now? And yes, he's helping people. He was a psychologist. He had this similar drive to what you're talking about, right? Like I'm helping people. I love this work. But how much was that taking a toll on his health? Right. Sitting there in these sessions for hours and hours on end. And he was a workaholic too. 7, 8 clients that I would tell him, I'd say, Dad, work less. You don't need to. Work less. It's time to retire. I love what I do. I'm people need me. He kept going. He had that workaholism. Yeah. Yeah. And I saw him go through that. And I hit my own burnout with his recovery, with his like treatment and stuff. And I was there.
It trickles down. It spreads out. That's a really good point. It trickles down. You had like trickle down burnout, like truly from his big B burnout. His body said, we're done. We're done doing this. And then you received the same, having to take care. Yeah.
As a caretaker.
Oh, that is huge. Yeah. I mean, Aaron and I actually have a very similar experience. So I'm 44. When my dad was 49, he had an aneurysm in his brainstem. And he had just got a new job with a new company that was, he was making more money than he'd ever made before. He was in a very high position. 6 months into this job, where he had basically no protection because he wasn't there a year yet. He went from corner office to you can work from home as a salesperson. I think part of a lot of my, work ethic, but also recognizing but not at all costs, comes at watching him continue to try so hard to do the things that he used to be able to do with now very different abilities. And that was hard to watch, because I was 14 when that happened.
You were young.
Yeah. I think for me, self-awareness and acceptance are such important values that I have because I saw what not accepting does. And it was a nonstop train wreck.
Yeah. Also, both of you profoundly experiencing that at pivot points. Like Eric's pivot point was like from young adulthood to adulthood, right? Like from the high school and college age, like that at that transition point plants a seed at a time. And I heard you call it out that like now you're 44 and getting up to when dad was when this thing happened when you were a kid. And like that's a spooky date to be approaching. And Aaron is having the real confrontation of, I think, Aaron, you're at the pivot point of I'm watching the result of my father not making the current healthy choices I'm making right now, right? So like I'm at the point where my father could have started behaving in a way that would have extended his life. Like Aaron's entering that time right now where like you could have, if your dad had made the choices you're making, going to Costa Rica with your partner, going to explore, adventuring, expanding, doing things good for yourself and for your soul and for the environment. Maybe if he had done the cruise now, you're kind of doing the cruise now.
Yeah. In a sense, I'm taking the cruise he never got to take.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
That gives me goosies.
Yeah. And in some ways it's hard to think about that, right? It's a privileged position, but it's privilege off of him not having that, So I feel this extra weight and responsibility of like, well, he didn't get to have that. And I have this choice of what do? Do I continue to work and build and grow I built my business to a certain stage, right? I put so much energy into it over the last 10 years, but like, do I need to grow bigger and make more money, or what do I need to focus on? What's my priorities? And so for me, facing the burnout was, hey, I need to refocus my energy on my health, my wellness, working out, taking care of myself, and taking and investing in the time to do things now, like that I really enjoy, that I'm going to love, and that are going to feed that energy and the creativity.
That ring a bell, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, it's. And I think about probably the first 6 or 7 years of my business, probably more than that, because if I would include my clinical practice, which I had for a few years before I even started ADHD Rewired, I was on average probably putting in somewhere between 70 to 90 hours a week. I can't remember the last time I worked even more than 35 hours in a week.
Oh, good. Wow. Okay. Wow.
That's a huge shift.
Yeah. Because it's, I used to think that every goal needed to be hit on time, on target, no matter what. and now it's like, goals are great, but they're there to guide you in a direction. Like, that's all. Like, it doesn't matter if you hit it on time. Like most goals, anyways. It's like, it's as long as you're making progress and moving forward and it's still relevant, like, great. So I co-parent, so I have 50-50 custody with my son, which has also been a great sort of thing to get me out of the office, 2 days a week early, which has been actually wonderful. And I'm like, I almost never open up my laptop at home to do work. Right?
Oh, good. That's another addition. Okay, so another little bullet point.
And that's something that I've been doing for a while too. Like, that's probably been doing that longer, because I used to do this whole thing where like I had every intention of doing the work over the weekend. I'd bring everything home and I would just it would just sit in the corner and stare at me, laughing at me, just making me feel crappy. Right. Yeah. And I think I just got to a point, I'm like, I'm going to do what I can do at work. And when I'm home, I'm not going to work. Like there are some things I will do, sometimes. But like, I don't think I have an obligation to, like, I'm not returning emails. I'm not responding to text messages or other things like that when I'm at home. When I'm at home, that's my time.
I intimately relate to that holding two competing truths in one hand. I am the kind of person who, if there is extra time at evening, may feel compelled to do work, right? But if the device isn't there, a lot harder to do that. If the device is in the room, how does it remain shut? Where's that discipline come from? And I watched your face. There's a change in the way you describe yourself. You go, because you caught yourself. I don't, the computer's there, but it's not laughing at me. I just don't do it. Well, sometimes I might do it. And I felt the most related to that, because I also have been like, I'm going to keep the technology out. I'm going to turn my shit on focus, do not disturb mode, whatever. But nope mode on my phone doesn't prevent me from opening Slack or opening an email, right? So like, what is it about us that changes for the good, for the positive, when we still have that like internal monologue? And I saw it in your face. There's a confidence and a self-love in it. You said, I'm not obligated. And that's different to me, is that you're
letting yourself off the hook.
Yes. Thank you, Aaron. I watched your face tell the story of, I've let myself off the hook. I'm not beating myself up. If I choose to do something, then gangbusters. I felt motivated to do it.
It was actually funny when he said like your phone doesn't have the note mode. This past I think Friday, I get myself sort of settled in the evening. I recently got a digital grand piano that I've been like playing every day, and I connect my laptop to it. So I opened it up and I left my browser open, so it was right on my email. And I remember just going, nope. And I just closed that out. And it would happen to be an important email. I'm like, that can wait till Monday.
Yeah.
So we give all of our listeners permission.
Yes.
Okay. To not be perfectionistic, to let yourself off the hook. Doesn't mean, you can make excuses for everything in your life because you have ADHD or something, but prioritize your energy, prioritize what serves you, and really ask yourself, is this goal that I'm arbitrarily setting for myself, or this expectation that society or others place on me, is this the thing that I have to do? Or am I kind of building this up to make it into this huge thing, this weight that I'm carrying on my back, and it's just bringing me down day after day? We give you permission to let that go.
Yeah. Let go lightly. Hit the nope button.
I love that. And no reverse cards.
Yeah. That's right. Reverse the order and nope. Okay. I say this with a great deal of sincerity, but also I back this up with some data and some personal experience. Eric is one of the most, if not the most vulnerable and courageous lecturers on the circuit. And if you discovered Brené Brown and that was a pivot point for you early on, it reads. I think it reads. You carry that spirit and you carry that sort of like the standing firm in the face of shame and self-flagellation, and you bear your soul in a way that not everybody does on the lecture circuit. I know that Aaron and I have always responded to that very powerfully. So thank you so much for being so vulnerable with your listeners and the people who get to hear you speak for these many, many years. And, kudos. Many kudos.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You hear that, Brené? So come on my podcast already.
He still wants you to come on the podcast, Brené. Come on. If you're listening, reach out to Eric.
I have rejection sensitivity, and I keep getting rejected, and I'm still sticking with it.
Wait, this is perfect, Aaron. Thank you. If you're listening, Brené Brown, this is the section where Eric gives us his pluggables.
Yes. You can reach out to him.
You can reach out to Eric
and he will get back to you on his time.
Wait, what'd you call it? Where I gave
pluggables.
Oh, I thought you said pluckables. I was like, what's a pluck? What the pluck is a pluckable?
A pluckable is honestly, it's a new idea that Attention Different's working with. It's sort of like a grab bag of ideas. We have guests on. They list 100 of them. And then we ask the listeners, okay, so what are your pluggables? What would you pluck from this basket of information?
Well, while I think about that, listeners can go to ADHDrewired.com, and they can pluck my information over there. And, I'm on every podcast app. That's probably the best way to find more stuff about me. ADHDrewired.com and ADHD Rewired on any of the major podcast platforms out there. And coaching and accountability groups. Yep, coaching and accountability groups. I also have a virtual co-working community called Adult Study Hall. And it's all linked on the main website. So I have different URLs, but I'll just give you one because we have ADHD and one is easier to remember. Yes. So ADHDrewired.com. So the coaching groups, our next one starts in April, and we'll be having starting registration in about a month and a half. Oh, can I sidebar for a second?
Yeah,
of course.
So I just got excited because I did this experiment with my last cycle of registration, because that's honestly, registration has always been the thing that's really been the most draining for me. I would be doing these registration cycles that would be going on for 4, 5, 6 weeks. We would have 7, 8, 9 registration events to get people registered. And I was looking at the data, and most of the people either signed up at the kickoff event, because we would often offer a discount for signing up early, or at the very last one. And so what happens if I did the pumpkin plan and literally cut everything out in the middle? So this last season, we had 2 registration events and done. Got it filled.
Heck yeah.
Did it match the same timeline of the beginning and the end? You scooped out the middle?
We had, we kicked it off 4 weeks ahead of time, so it wasn't so far away. Because as ADHDers, we're that's 2 months from now. That's an eternity from now, right?
Plenty of
right. So it was getting to that point where it's okay, this is soon, right? But not so far out. And we did back-to-back weeks, and I was this had been suggested to me so many times by other people. And I'm but it was but what if someone can't make it during that time?
You want to be so fair to everyone except for yourself.
Oh my God, that's so, yes. Yeah, that's...
Put that at the top of the show. Put that at the top of the show. Welcome to Attention Different Podcast. This one's about burnout, y'all.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, and thank you for having me on.
It feels like we have a gang back together.
To have you here.
Yeah, truly. But this was awesome. This was such a wonderful reconnect. We can't wait for the next one.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.